Thanks for joining us, Coach Peck. Appreciate you coming into the studio. Talk about your last week's win over West. You guys kind of jumped out to that early big lead and then ended up rolling over them 41-10. What really stood out to you?
First of all, I think West has a lot more talent than what people perceived them to have. They got a couple of running backs I think that would play for just about anybody, and they came and they competed hard. And I thought our kids come out and it was just a good workmanlike, attitude. We went out and I thought we executed pretty good defensively. I think in their first 2 or 3 times we had them in like 3 and outs and really played just a good solid first quarter anyway, which is what we wanted out of our kids. West come out and created the one fumble and ran it down to the 1 yard line and just about had the goal line stand. We put them in a 4th and 1 and they did end up punching it in, but I thought our kids showed some resiliency there and just about had the goal line stand. But, that's where they got their 1 touchdown. And, things like that are going to happen. But I was proud of our kids.
I want to go back to the Alta game because I was actually at the game broadcasting it and calling it.
Okay.
You guys were down big in the first half. Is that something that you as a coach, you probably wouldn't look forward to it, but seeing the whole season from a broader perspective, you've pretty much been dominating your opponents. So going against Alta and being down big and having to score 23 unanswered in the second half, is that something that you feel was a great test for your kids?
Yeah, I think it was a great challenge. I think that we had the region championship wrapped up, the number 1 seed regardless. I thought we had a good week, and whenever you have an Alta Bingham game, it's always going to be, you would always expect it to be a great game, intensity-wise, hitting-wise, and it seems like everybody steps up their game when we play. And unfortunately, we didn't the first half. And even on the bus ride over there, I had to get up, and it was the only time this year that I had to get up and say, you know what, your minds aren't right, because they were just gabbing and talking, and usually it's intense and quiet, and then they quieted down. But, the first half, we definitely didn't play, the inspired ball like we're used to seeing with, Bingham football. And I thought Alta played a great first half. I got to give credit to them because offensively, I think they're one of the best offensive teams in the state, regardless. And I just thought they'd come out and they played with an edge, and we didn't play with an edge. And, we challenged our kids at halftime just to compete, step it up and play our brand of football. And whether we win or lose, we needed to know that we went out and competed a lot better than we did the first half. And, unfortunately, we competed enough that we was able to pull out the win. So that was a great win. And I think that it, in the next 3 weeks, I hope that if we fall behind, to another team, it shows that we're capable of coming back.
That's something that can translate into the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, next week you have Riverton. They have a dual rushing attack. What is something that you're really looking forward to shutting down it?
You know what, Riverton, we've played them every year since, Riverton has been built. This was the first year that we wasn't able to work it out for whatever reasons to play them, and then it works out that we end up playing them in the playoffs. They're very well coached. Their kids, they're not a real big team, but they fly around. They execute their run game, probably better than anybody else in the state. And we've played them a lot of times. Even when I was the head coach at Cypress High School, and Coach Miller was the head coach at Olympus High School, we met him there a couple times, and so I'm real familiar with the wing tee, and and hopefully our kids, you got to treat it just like it's playing an option team. Each kid has to zero in on their assignments and take care of their responsibilities, and because if you don't, you lose track of the ball. They do such a good job in executing their run offense that you really never know where the ball is unless you just zero in on 1 or 2 things that you need to take care of. And hopefully our kids will be prepared for that.
How does this team, one final question, differ from the past 2 seasons? You've bowed out early in the playoffs, the quarterfinals, and the semis. What are you looking to accomplish? How far do you think that you can go with this team?
Well, obviously I think we're capable of, going undefeated, going 14-0, and winning a state championship, and which is what our expectations are right now. Everything we do, everything we've done for the last few months, getting ready for this, is, prepare these kids to go, win region championships and state championships. And do I think this group has what it takes? I definitely do. I think we've got a quarterback in place that can make big plays when you need them, and you've got to have a guy in that spot that can go make big plays for you, when things aren't going good, and Kyle's very capable of doing that. We've got a solid offensive line that can control the ball. With they've got some experience coming back, and we have a good solid defense that I think across the board, that we just make it tough on teams. And so I think all the pieces are in place to make a run at the state championship, for sure. And like I said, the number one thing that would probably be different, this year is I feel like my very best kids, okay, are also my very best leaders, and that hasn't been the case the last couple of years.